I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I could write a genuine review on today's movie, so I'm introducing a new review style known as Rapid Reviews. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Spy Kids franchise, the first three because I'm pretty sure the others don't exist. I did use a tutorial for the castle I built in this episode. Its link will be in the description below. Spoilers ahead. This franchise has a special place in my heart. Growing up, this was the most action I saw, and it was awesome. The grand costumes and villains, weird inventions, and a bop of a theme, if I do say so myself. But now I'm 18, or older if you're here in the future, and it doesn't hold up. The acting is alright considering the writing and directing, the humor is spotty at best, and the CGI and VFX somehow got worse as time goes on. All these are reasons I couldn't write a legitimate review. The Spy Kids movies are objectively terrible films, but they do hold some value, even though it's mostly just nostalgic. Spy Kids starts off with Ingrid Cortez telling Carmen about two spy lovers, which at the time Carmen didn't know was about her parents. Ingrid and Gregorio Cortez are spies working for the OSS. Don't ask me what that means, I couldn't be bothered to Google it. The spy parents are sent on a mission to rescue lost spies at some island. Unbeknownst to them is the secret lair of the not-so-evil Floop. It was his minion, that is actually behind the evil plot to sell weapons to bad people. He just influenced Floop. The parents are captured and locked away inside Floop's shoe castle. It's now up to Carmen Elizabeth, Juanita Echo Sky Brava Cortez, and Junie Rocket Racer Rebel Cortez to save their parents and free the spies. Also, the names are really dumb. Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams, is the strongest of the bunch. The pacing is pretty solid, which is good because it has 20 minutes added compared to the first and third films, so it definitely could have been a bore. Spy Kids 2 starts off at a theme park where the president's daughter is having daddy issues, and Junie talks her down from the top of a dangerous park ride called the Juggler. This happens simultaneously while my least favorite character in the whole franchise takes the transmoker device from the girl. After some foul play on Donegan Giggle's part, Junie is kicked off the OSS Junior Division, meaning he can't go on a special mission. This lasts about 1 hour in universe time because Carmen hacks into the OSS files and reinstates him and assigns him and her to the special mission instead of Gary and Lily. I mean Gary and Gertie Giggles. Junie and Carmen make their way over to this mysterious island where they find the scientist Mr. Romero, a man scared of his own CGI train wrecks. Junie and Carmen then leave to retrieve the real transmoker device before Donegan does. After a few Spy Kids special effects-filled action sequences featuring skeletons, flying magnet skateboards, and ugly but otherwise cool CGI beasts, we reach a face-off between good and evil, I mean Gregorio and Donegan, both of which are top-tier spies that can't win a fight apparently. Of course good triumphs, and Junie leaves the OSS to become a better person and an even better detective for the people. Spy Kids 3 Game Over was my favorite as a kid. Tons of ridiculous creatures and machines all packed into a 3D spectacle, which is probably the most annoying part of it now. There's all these random nuts and bolts and screws and springs like flinging at you at like 90 miles an hour, and it's really distracting. The movie starts out with Junie and some girl having a fantastically hilarious interaction.
Agua and some water. Cute.
Why the water from your park is missing.
Pray tell.
It's winter. Shut down the people who really own this park.
Followed up by Junie attempting to buy a copy of the hit VR game Game Over. Imagine choosing charity over a video game, Junie. Also, was Junie really playing? Like, was he actually planning on buying a game with ones and change? Like, bro, the poor retail worker's gonna skin you alive and ship you off to the Island of Lost Dreams if you try turning that in. But, you know, luckily he fails and loses all of his money. After this, he's taken to the OSS where he's told that Carmen is missing and he needs to go into the video game to shut it down and save her, or else every kid on Earth will be mindless and the toy maker will rule the world. Once inside the game, Junie fights in a mech war, becomes the guy, wins in a race, fights Arnold, asks his grandpa to beat up some nerds, finds his sister, outruns Tinker Toys, whatever those are, dies in a lava surfing competition, doesn't actually die in a lava surfing competition, meets the actual guy dies, so he regains that title, and then his grandpa releases the toy maker anyway, dooming humanity, but Armageddon is nothing compared to family. We discussed the plot essentials, so now I want to talk about the positives of the franchise. Carmen and Junie are literally a perfect portrayal of siblings. They're annoying and constantly bickering. They make fun of each other and belittle their accomplishments. Junie is constantly joking about Carmen's love life with Gary, and Carmen has to break the hard truth to Junie that his crush Demetra is actually fake.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
Similarly to the real life, Carmen and Junie's shared struggles slowly bring them together, becoming stronger than those around them. Sure, they bicker throughout the series, but it becomes less and less common, and by the end of it all, they actually work quite well together. What doesn't work quite so well is a kid's franchise about tiny spies attempting to be philosophical. The third one is definitely the worst at this, but the franchise as a whole tries to be deep, talking about revenge, how being yourself and letting creativity flow, and not fearing the things you've created. All these are great morals, don't get me wrong, but Spy Kids had a way of undercutting each and every single emotional beat with a dumb throwaway joke. All except one.
You think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
The jokes make the emotional beats feel so overkill, but I guess that's the one thing Spy Kids is good at. The only franchise that compares to Spy Kids' grandeur is that of Mission Impossible, except Mission Impossible is real. I'd say 80% of Spy Kids is green screen and CGI, and that number bumps up to 98% in the third film. Actually, even that number is probably a little too low. But what I mean in the phrase grandeur is ideas. Spy Kids gets away with thumb-limbed robots, massive projections of villains in the clouds, robot kids that can't talk, glow-stick guns that do absolutely nothing, snake lizards, spider monkeys, and so much more. Robert Rodriguez goes all out with the fantastical inventions that really set Spy Kids apart from other movies. One thing this rapid review has taught me is things from your childhood may not be as golden as you thought. Perhaps the only reason we thought Spy Kids was peak was because they came in a time of our life when it was either boring on Disney or Spy Kids, and one was way cooler. But maybe that's all movies need, is to fit the purpose. Not every movie has to be deep and introspective. Not every movie has to have perfect effects and a beautiful score. Maybe it's okay to have those few movies that are objectively bad, but you love to watch anyway. Because at the end of the day, Spy Kids wasn't perfect, and never will be perfect, but 8-year-old me thought it was. And I still chuckle a little watching it all these years later. But mostly because Floop. Floop makes me smile with glee every single time.
Where? Who? What? When? Where? And why? I delighted.
That sums up my thoughts on the Spy Kids franchise. If you enjoyed today's video, let me know down in the comment section below. And share with your fellow movie lovers. And if you haven't seen the movies, go watch them and see what you think. Your own opinion will always, sometimes, be more important than mine. Next week's video is going to be on Five Nights at Freddy's, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that.